Seriously, how hard is it to make a Resident Evil adaptation? I have mixed feelings on Resident Evil from Netflix in 2022. While it is better than Welcome to Raccoon City in my eyes, it does make some of the Milla Jovovich films seem like a work of art, which, let's face it, for their own thing, Paul W.S. Anderson just went all out on those films. Started pretty close to the essence of the games, but then kind of got crazy around Part 3 and onward with a post-apocalyptic landscape. And this is actually a mix of both. Resident Evil in 2022 follows two timelines. We have a future timeline in 2036 where the world has already been consumed by zombies. Think World War Z or I Am Legend. And then we have 2022 and New Raccoon City. This series jumps a lot through both timelines, but they all surround this new version of Albert Wesker and his two daughters. Before I continue, I must say that the cast does an amazing job. Lance Reddick, yes, he may not look like Albert Wesker from the video game, but the way he delivers his lines with his voice, there are moments where he could tell he studied the video game. There are moments where he felt like Albert Wesker. And then there are moments where I'm like, you know what? Lance Reddick would have made an awesome Blade. No, seriously though, when he was announced as Albert Wesker, it surprised me. I love him as an actor in John Wick. I thought he'd be someone like Tyrell Patrick in a Resident Evil 3 movie. Lance Reddick as Tyrell and DJ Cotrona as Carlos, you know? Regardless, this is a new incarnation of Albert Wesker, and one thing that I find fascinating is that this series uses the first 5 or 6 games as a basis of its foundation. So it takes the history and timeline of the games into account and then adds its own story into them. And for the daughters, we have several actresses playing both timelines. We have Ella Balinska, who plays Jade Wesker in the future timeline. Tamara Smart is young Jade Wesker, and then we have Adeline Rudolph as Billy Wesker, and Sienna Agudong as young Billy Wesker, and she really shines. The younger sisters have such a great story in this show, even though they both do some stupid things from time to time. Then we also have Paola Nunez as Evelyn Marcus. She's basically over an Umbrella at this point. They're almost like Neo Umbrella. And Lance Reddick, I really love his portrayal of Albert Wesker. What happens is that Albert Wesker did die in a volcano, but this is like a new version, a clone, should I say, without going into too many other spoilers. I really like what they did here. It's very different. I mean, Albert Wesker is not the type of guy to be like a caring parent, but this isn't the Albert Wesker we know from the games. I love the little tie-ins, you know. They do mention Raccoon City in 1998, like in the original games. They do mention, they have Tijuana, Mexico, some attack, and that's kind of similar to what happened like in Resident Evil 6 with the different attacks internationally. The new Umbrella is pretty much like the old Umbrella, but it could almost be the equivalent to Neo Umbrella in the games. The characters in the writing, they do some stupid things. I mean, like, one of the daughters is just like, I don't like them hurting animals. Let's free the bunnies. And that's horrible. I don't like animal cruelty in any way, but sometimes for like vaccines, so to speak, pharmaceuticals have to have lab rats, so to speak, before they go to human trials. They break into this lab, and then that's what causes like the T virus to come out at first. And I was just like, really? It would be a PETA enthusiast that starts the end of the world. All kidding aside though, they just do some questionable things where I'm like, what are you doing? And then the future is even worse where they just do some stupid stuff. It's almost like it's Resident Evil in name only. Like this could have very easily been World War Z or I Am Legend, the series. That being said, though, I have mixed feelings because there are moments that I love. Again, Lance Reddick is just amazing with all his portrayals of Albert Wesker. We get to see him as a prototypical Albert Wesker. We get to see him as a new Albert Wesker. He really adds a lot of range and gives this show some gravitas, I must say. I really enjoyed his portrayal of Albert Wesker. I mean, obviously, he's not Albert Wesker. He doesn't look like him, but you know what? He acts like him when he is him for a limited time, and I liked what he did. I liked what he brought into it. You don't think about somebody's skin tone or background like he's just Albert Wesker. That's one thing I really enjoyed. And with all the video game ties, I would have loved it if like Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, and Leon Kennedy were finally done justice and brought into play. Who knows what's going to happen if they have a season 2? There are some nods and hints to other characters in the Resident Evil video game universe. I find it interesting, though, that they use the games as the basis for the world. It's in a timeline of them doing their own thing in the games, because like with the post-apocalyptic story, it felt a lot like the Milla Jovovich films from Resident Evil Extinction onward. Like, this could have very easily fit into the Milla Jovovich films. Like, it really could have. It felt just like that. And they even go to like this like ship that's carrying all these people, and it's almost like the Arcadia ship in Resident Evil Afterlife and Retribution. Like, there's a scene that's almost like it, with like Umbrella arriving with helicopters, and I'm like, this is just like the Milla Jovovich sequels. And who knows, maybe it would have been better that way. But regardless, I do respect them doing their own thing while also adapting the game. You know, they use the history of the game, but then they do their own thing. And I'm split, because I think I would have liked this show more if it wasn't called Resident Evil. If it was its own original zombie, I think I would have actually liked it more. But because it is Resident Evil, again, Hollywood, why can't you adapt Resident Evil? How fucking hard is it? They do have their own story, they do have nods to the games, but the Milla Jovovich films did the same thing. And it's just like, it's like each entry is getting worse and they're still missing the point. I don't know. I hope one day to make like a Resident Evil film. Maybe for fellow filmmakers, I want to make this, but if you want to make it too, why don't they just have a reboot that's exactly like the game, but instead of Resident Evil, call it Biohazard from the Japanese name. I don't know. We'll see. But overall, the first episode I enjoyed. The middle of it, there's some stupid stuff that I had to stop watching. And then the future storyline, I actually thought the present day storyline was more compelling than the future. The future was just kind of a mess in my eyes. Like, it's just, there's just moments that were just like, really, the characters are doing this, why? And, you know, you didn't have Lance Reddick there, you didn't have Paola Nunez, except for one small part that involves Dua Lipa's music. Yeah, you'll have to see it to know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it was a lot to juggle, and I thought that they did it very well. It's just that I didn't care much about the future story as I did in the present day story. The present day story, you get all the Umbrella Corporation T-Virus stuff, and you get to see how the world ends, and I kind of liked that. But overall, for the stuff it did do, I thought it was really well done. And you have to go in this with an open mind. I mean, it's like book adaptations. You're not going to 100% adapt the game the way you want it to. That being said, there are some things that this could do better if they have a season 2 to make it stand on its own. Because like going into this, I knew it wasn't going to be the game, but it sure made me want to play the game just to see something and have a cleansing, you know. But overall, though, I really enjoyed it for what it was, and it's not as bad as what people are saying out there. Not at all. Cinematography is done very well. The music, it has some kind of questionable music moments, but then there's a lot of instrumentals and other music pieces that work very well when it comes to dramatic moments or revelations about the past and how it ties into the future. And there's a lot of stuff that happens simultaneously that fits very well. But like I said, the teen girls, they do some stupid stuff, but they're teenagers. But like in the future storyline, there's this one woman who's keeping her husband alive, and then she's like, why did you kill my husband? And the husband was trying to bite her neck off, and it was stupid. It was just stupid shit doing stupid shit. And there's some parts that I just felt like turning it off. I was just like, why? Why is it so hard, Hollywood? But if you're a Resident Evil fan, I say give it a chance. Overall, though, it would be interesting to see where Season 2 goes. I hope to bring more video game characters to play, but that being said, I wouldn't mind another CGI show or CGI film, because at least it's done by the people who did the video games. But this could have been worse, and it could have been better, and I have mixed feelings about it. There are a lot of things I liked, other things that they miss the mark of what makes Resident Evil, I think. The cast and crew do a phenomenal job. Regardless of how you feel about the story, don't take it out on the actors, because I thought they all did a superb job. And there are some scares, there are some creatures, and I love the practical makeup effects on the zombies. So if I had to give it a score, I would probably give it a B- and a 3 out of 5. It's not perfect, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, and I personally liked it more than Welcome to Raccoon City. It's probably right there with some of the Milla Jovovich sequels, but under the first 2 movies for me, and right under the CGI movies and the video games. But I do like what they did with the lore, and that was cool how they used that as a foundation for their own story. Now that we're in the lore, I'm kind of hoping they not only continue to do their own thing, but then also have an alternate history of like, well, what if Leon or Chris Redfield from the BSAA came to play? Like, what would happen? What if Ada Wong came in? What would happen? And that would be great to explore, and seeing how the other Resident Evil characters fit into this narrative the way that Albert Wesker fit into this narrative. What can I say, man? Chris Redfield had the power to punch boulders and knock Albert Wesker in a volcano and have him come back as Lance Reddick. What can I say? But he's awesome. And I hope we see more of his Albert Wesker in the future, like his original Albert Wesker. I would like to see that. But yeah, overall, it is what it is, and it's a solid binge to watch if you're in the mood for some zombies. But if you end up not liking it too much, you might want to play either the Resident Evil game or watch Army of the Dead on Netflix with Zack Snyder. I don't know. Those are my brief thoughts on Resident Evil. Let me know what you thought of the show. Did you like it? Did you hate it? You have mixed feelings about it? Let me know down in the comments below. You can also let me know, what is your favorite Resident Evil video game? My personally is Resident Evil 2 Remake and Original. That's my favorite, along with 4. But let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more videos and check out these other Resident Evil related videos for more content. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Till next time.